Welcome back to Escape to the Magic podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Randy.
I am Dack.
And this is Ryan.
And this week we're talking about Disneyland or Disney World. Who does it better?
Well, you just got back from Disneyland.
I did.
So that's what's inspiring this week's episode.
It's pretty fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
Now having been both places this year and fairly recently.
Yeah.
And we've been wanting to do this episode for a while. This has been on our radar to make this comparison.
It's going to be pretty controversial, don't you think?
I hope so.
I think so. I think.
Are we going to lose subscribers over this episode?
We may lose Dack over this.
Yeah, depends on where you go. Depends on where you go. I think this is a heated debate across Disney fan universe, right? Like people all the time. Well, where would you rather go, Disney World or Disneyland? But we're just talking straight attractions to attractions. So meaning it's the exact same attraction in Disney World or Disneyland.
Yeah, we're not comparing this park's better than that park.
Right.
By the way, remember those old Pepsi commercials in the 90s with Deion Sanders?
I remember a lot of Pepsi commercials.
He did these
stars.
Pepsi commercials in the 90s, and Jerry Jones was in it, right? And they kept offering Deion choices, like, Deion, do you want this or do you want that? Deion, do you want to play offense or defense? And he's like, both, coach, right? That's how I feel when it comes to the which park is better debate.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm going to shut that discussion down. I'm going to take them both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Pepsi is garbage. Dr. Pepper has now recently surpassed Pepsi as the number 2 soft drink in the world.
Yeah, everybody in like the Pacific Northwest is about to unsubscribe.
That's right.
And in the Rocky Mountains where they seem to like Pepsi for some. Right. I don't understand it. I'm sorry.
Pepsi is not garbage.
Go ahead, click that unsubscribe button if you're a Pepsi fan. No, I'm joking. Please don't do that.
Listen, if you like Pepsi, give Dr. Pepper a try. That's all I got to say.
I will say this. We're so far off topic.
Yeah.
What's it matter anymore? But they do taste different at elevation.
Pepsi does?
Yeah.
Well, and they're bottled at different places.
They are, but at elevation, if you're in the Rockies and you're like at 6,000-7,000 feet, like I'm telling you, I'm not even joking. There's probably articles about this that I don't care about, but I'm sure they exist. It tastes different. It's not as bad.
Huh.
This is going to be our next spin-off podcast is sodas, pops, whatever people call them.
Who calls
Cokes.
it pop?
Some people, yeah.
Not this part of the country.
Yeah, no. All right, so here's what the real topic is of our podcast today.
We love you, Pepsi lovers.
We love you, Pepsi lovers.
Yeah.
All right, so
Do you remember Crystal Pepsi? It was delicious.
Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi. It was clear.
Was it legal?
It was.
Crystal Pepsi.
There was no caffeine.
Oh, you lost me.
Yeah, it was caffeine free. It was a clear cola. Crystal Pepsi. It was delicious.
Huh.
And then it disappeared, and now we got to get back.
You can't back me off of the caffeine-free, sugar-free stuff. When I'm drinking soda,
it wasn't like that. It was basically like caffeine-free Coke in the gold can, right? It tastes exactly the same.
Back shaking his head like these two idiots. Let's just talk about Disney.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Welcome to our Disney
This is what
podcast.
happens when we record at night.
Yes.
We've all had long days today.
Yeah. All right. Here's what we're going to try to do.
All right.
We're going to take attraction for attraction, line them up against each other, and between the three of us decide which one we like the best, right? So, for example, let's just start with our first one. Our first one is Jungle Cruise Disneyland or Jungle Cruise at Disney World.
Both, Coach.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
You have to explain. You know what? I've done both. I don't know the major difference.
I'm going to tell you what it is right now. It's the plants. One of the things that we noticed when Kayla was with me when we were there. By the way, our whole trip, we did it it was a day. It was a day at Disneyland. I was there on business and took a personal day as part of the trip. And we were there from rope drop to park close. So that was 8:30 to midnight. Okay.
It's a nice
Long day. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. But so we made this observation when we got over to the Jungle Cruise. By the way, love Adventureland at Disneyland.
Yeah.
I think that, we're talking about attractions, but I'm going to tell you about the land right now. I love the way it's laid out. It makes a lot more sense. It feels like Adventureland, a little better than what you get in Florida, but that's okay. when you get to the Jungle Cruise attraction itself, the first thing you notice is the age of the plants there.
Yes.
They're huge, they're big, they're beautiful, they're so well maintained. And it's not to say that what you find in Florida isn't, because it is, but you can feel the difference. Like, this is an attraction that has some real character. By the way, it's an original attraction, right? So that makes a lot of sense. But it's got some real character.
It has a few more animals in it as well.
Yeah.
I think a fun one is they have that little swarming piranha part that Disney World doesn't have. So they don't have that tiger temple.
Yep, the tiger temple. Yeah, so you don't go
Disney
through,
World,
you don't go through the tunnel. I mean, it is actually, the ride is a different ride.
Yeah.
You don't go through the little tunnel, the temple where you're in the dark like you do in Florida. So I feel like overall, actually, the ride itself does feel a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna, which one does it better? Disneyland wins the plants, but I prefer the ride at Disney World.
Okay. I'm going Disneyland. I like the extra animals. I like what you're saying about the ambiance and the feel of it. So I'll go Disneyland by a hair. But you're right. They're very, very close.
I guess I'll be a push, because I really can't tell the difference between the two. I understand what you're saying, Randy. And maybe next time when I go to Disneyland, I'll look out for the age of the vegetation.
One of the biggest differences, at least on the day that I was there, I don't know if this is a thing every day, but when you get to the eighth wonder of the world, I just didn't feel like the waterfall was as forceful in California as it normally is in Florida. In Florida, like, there's so much water going, you actually can't hear through that part.
Yeah.
Like, it's deafening. It wasn't that big a deal. In fact, actually, there's even a part kind of in the middle where, because the water pressure was low enough, it wasn't cascading the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, Disney World for me.
Going Disney World.
Okay.
All right. Next one on our list I had is Space Mountain. Space Mountain World versus Land.
Okay, so I'll go first. I am going to take the Space Mountain at Disneyland. Yeah, I think the side-by-side car is a better experience. Well, let me backtrack. Our last guys trip, and back in January, we talked about this. I fell in love all over again with Space Mountain. The single-seater, 3 in a car, fantastic. I probably prefer the double-seater, though, that they have at Disneyland, and they do Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland.
Same for me. Yeah, that was what did it for me, is Hyperspace Mountain there at Disneyland, and the side-by-side I really enjoy. I think it just feels a little less jerky as well.
I think this is the benefit of, and I'm gonna go with Disneyland as well. I think the benefit to Disneyland on this one is that they were inventing a new Space Mountain when they put it in, right? So it wasn't a ride for ride copy and paste. And so I think they learned some lessons, frankly, from its original inception in Florida. I agree completely on the double seaters. You feel really cramped and claustrophobic in the single seat rockets in Florida. And
let's be honest about the single seat rockets. It's a little awkward.
Yeah,
all of us in here are over 6 feet.
Yeah.
And there's really not.
You need some breathing room.
You just need some breathing room.
Yeah.
So keeping it G-rated. That's all we can say about that.
But let's not forget. I think, actually, put the rockets aside. The biggest difference between the two, other than the fact that it's a completely different ride, is that it's got music, it's got sound.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Good point.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, if they had music and sound in ride in Florida like they do in California, I'm probably going to go with Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I like the track better. It's a little more jerky, but I think you go faster. And this is something I think in general I feel about a lot of the California rides. They feel a lot slower to me.
Yes. I would agree, just as a general overall. All right. Next one I had, this one might be a push as well, other than a few minor details. Big Thunder Mountain, California, or Disneyland versus Big Thunder Disney World.
Yeah, for me, this is actually, it's easier than it sounds. For the actual ride, the attraction itself, Disney World all the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, going back to what I just mentioned, California is a little bit slower. I think the fact that the track goes the opposite direction kind of induces it to go a little bit slower. You don't get some of the G-forces that you find on some of the turns. It just isn't there. Now there are some cool elements in California that when there is projection mapping in certain parts with the dynamite. That's awesome. Although I hear that's coming to Disney World now on their upgrades to Big Thunder Mountain out there. So I think that'll be great. The queue in California is, I think, superior to the smelly sweat lodge that you go through in Florida. Now, look, California weather wins the day on that one, really, because if you had the Florida weather in the California line, it wouldn't work because it's 100% outdoors, right?
Yes, yeah.
But, I did not miss going down below into that creepy cave of like shoulder to shoulder BO.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say the same. The only maybe edge I give Land over World is that projection mapping there in the mine shaft. But like you say, the minute it comes to Florida, then I'm going to flip-flop on my vote. But for right now, I'll go ahead and give Land the edge over World.
Do they both have the goat on top of the mountain?
Billy is present at both places.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think the projection mapping probably edges it over for me. Speed-wise, Disneyland is 35, Disney World is 36, according to my quick Google search. So, but it probably seems a little slower just for other reasons.
Well, and keep in mind, speed's not everything, right? Yeah. You've got the G-force. Yeah. Look, there are turns in Florida where at that speed you're feeling much more pressure than you feel in Disneyland. It just does not exist there. I kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting for it to get faster, and you get that feeling. Just didn't happen.
Yeah, I like Disney World because at one point you come up over the crest and you see the castle.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a great attraction at night to see that castle all lit up, and give me Disney World.
Okay.
And I think what your point is about the projection mapping coming, within the next year or so, will make it just a really fun.
Yeah,
attraction.
I think it's going to take it to another level. I hope, by the way, that as part of these refurbs, that they're also going to add some photo pass opportunities to that attraction. That is one attraction I cannot for the life of me understand why there are no pictures taken on it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now we're getting into some of the good stuff. Tower of Terror.
Dude, you already know the answer to this one.
Versus.
Well, actually,
Guardians.
I know my answer.
Breakout.
I know my answer.
Yeah, I mean, if your question is about the fact that it's exactly the same mechanical ride,
we just cannot.
If that's what your question's about, then I'd compare it. But it's not the same. It's not the same attraction.
Experience.
But it's not the same attraction.
Well, they're not named the same.
No, it's not the same attraction, right? I mean, you go through a different pre-show.
Oh,
you go through it's a different storyline. Like you've got a bunch of screens with images on the collector's tower versus Tower of Terror. You're just opening up to the outside. So me personally, I don't compare the two because I think they're two different attractions in presentation. Functionally, they're identical, but in presentation.
All right, which one would you ride on if you only had one of the two to choose from?
Tower of Terror.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% Tower of Terror. I like the theming. Guardians is fine. I don't have probably the connection to Guardians that I do Tower of Terror. Twilight Zone to me is something that I was watching as a kid. I love the theming. I love the old style. I love the old 20s and 30s Hollywood.
Yeah, love that.
Big band music. Just give me that.
I would stay in that hotel.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, magical scenario. If you had to hide out in in an attraction one night, I would choose Tower of Terror.
There you go.
Give it to me all day.
Yep.
All right, and I'll go Mission Breakout. I love the music. I love Guardians music anyways.
And you also think the ride is different.
The music is great. I give it to you.
Yeah.
The music
Yeah, and
is
the
great.
video is fun. It just makes it while I'm fearing for my life, it adds a little bit of joy in
when
there.
Dack's got his kung fu
I think
grip on the
that's the
handlebars.
primary difference, right?
Yeah.
Tower of Terror really is there to induce fear to you. Nothing with the Guardians is there to induce fear. It's to induce laughter, and I think that there are sensations that you feel physically as a result of the ride mechanics, but you're never really afraid because you know what's coming next.
I'm always afraid on those.
Well, you're a little girl.
Are you afraid of the theming? Are you afraid of The Twilight Zone?
No, not at all. No, I'm not afraid of the theme. I'm afraid of dying by falling to my death.
Well,
do you trust Disney or not?
I do. Yeah, this is in stark contrast to our 5 Keys episode where we talked about
exactly
safety.
Right.
No, I know I'm not going to die, but there's something about that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, all right, moving on. We're good to move on.
I'm fine.
All right, here we go. Here's a fun one: Pirates Disneyland, Pirates Disney World.
Yeah. To me, that's a really easy one. Disneyland wins that all day long.
Yeah. You go with that, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
The 3 drops.
I'm trying to remember.
Three drops
So
at
the
land.
3
Disneyland
drops
has more
at land.
drops. I'm trying to remember. The queue at Disneyland is not as robust as the one at Disney World.
It is not.
No, right.
I love the queue at Disney World.
Yeah. Yeah. Go keep going.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think the 3 drops, the length of the ride itself, I think it pushes it past Disney World for me.
Yeah, I mean the California ride itself, I think in time, you can probably look that up too, it's definitely a longer ride. In fact, the whole basically show leading up to when you finally get into the room with the ship in Barbosa, like there is a long ways you go that really kind of helps illustrate like what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. Tells the story.
It tells a story a lot better. Yeah. I think that you get a little bit of that in the queue at Disney World, but you get more of that actually in the boat on the ride in Disneyland. The Blue Bayou being a restaurant in the ride itself is one of the amazing things. I mean, I can't necessarily recommend the restaurant for its food. I feel like it doesn't quite live up to the hype. Even if it did, you couldn't see it in front of you anyhow, so it doesn't matter. But it's really cool that you're kind of going through here. I mean, look, that's one of the reasons we all love the Three Caballeros at Epcot is because you're going through, La Cantina San Angel, right? And that's pretty, it's an awesome thing.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
The Disneyland version is 15 and a half minutes long. Guess how long the Magic Kingdom version is?
7.
Yeah, I know it's shorter, so I'm going to go under 10.
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, it's actually the shortest. So Tokyo Disney is 9:30 and Disneyland Paris is 10:30. So the shortest of all the Pirates.
About half almost half. Yeah.
The Disneyland, we're getting off topic here, but the Disneyland Paris one, phenomenal.
That's what I hear.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Think about upgraded technology.
Yeah. All right. So here's one, probably an easy one. I think easy for me. Small World, yeah. Disneyland, Small World, Disney World.
I don't know what to judge it on. To me, it's a Small World. It's the same attraction once you get in the boat. I think now the facade. Randy's shaking his head. Now
I'm shaking my head.
Now listen, the facade of Disneyland is amazing. How you start outdoors is amazing. But once you're inside, I'm like, it's all the same. You're looking at dolls singing.
You think they still have some of that water from all those countries, on opening day?
No, because they've drained it.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Remember, there was some cast member that accidentally left the water running or draining or something like that, and it this was a couple of years ago.
That cast member should be in the Hall of Shame.
They drained all of Disney or all of Small World.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's been drained and
it's not
rained over and whatever else and a long time ago. It's not the same ride.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to check me on this one. I think that the length of the actual ride in Florida is longer. The enjoyment of the one in California is immensely better. Plus, you have Disney IP characters hidden throughout. You can play a game trying to find the characters. I think that's a lot more fun.
That's what does it for me.
Of course, I think the queue to get on the attraction itself is more enjoyable in California. Again, weather wins a lot there. Yeah. In Florida, you have to start from an indoor thing because it rains so often. You just can't do that. But in California, they're like, oh, it never rains here. We can all get on the boat outdoors.
My biggest problem with World, this sounds like I'm knocking on it, is just you're in Fantasyland and it's like you're going into some medieval tent of some kind. Just the theming until you step into the queue and actually see the little clock there.
The theming at Disneyland is amazing. Yeah, especially.
Well, don't forget about the clock.
The clock is amazing.
It's basically a cuckoo clock, right?
Yeah, and just when it's lit up at night is amazing. So in terms of minutes, they're about the same.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, see,
I would not have.
here's the thing. Disneyland it says it's 15. Disney World it says it's between 12 to 15.
Well, it's more like 27.
Yeah.
It feels like it takes forever.
That's because you.
And that's the
boats
thing.
back up.
I'll tell you, I think that's part of the experience. Like by the time I'm done in Disney World, I'm like, all right, I don't got to ride this for the next 3 visits, right? Like I don't need to ride this again for a long time. In California, you're like, man, that's such a great ride, and you get off, and you're like, I could do that again next time I come. It just feels really rote and monotonous in Florida, and I think that perhaps maybe the thing that changed it was bringing the characters in at Disneyland, giving you something to do instead of just look at the exact same doll.
So what
with a
characters are you
different outfit.
talking about?
Oh man, they got Lilo and Stitch. They
Donald's
got Alice.
in there.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole Three Caballeros are there,
Yeah.
right?
There's tons.
I guess this is how
There's
much
lots of people.
I
Peter
don't care about
Pan's
this ride
flying.
that I didn't know
Tinkerbell's in there.
Yeah. As you go through each country,
The Queen of
whatever
Hearts and
character
the rabbit.
is associated with that country, you're going to typically see 1 or 2 characters.
Mm-hmm.
Either I just don't. Clearly, I don't remember it.
Clearly,
We got to get you out to California.
I was just there in December,
clearly.
and we did it. Anyway,
All right, here we go.
Maybe I fell asleep.
Here's a good one. Soarin', California.
This is easy.
Soarin' over the world. Disneyland.
Oh,
Disney World.
you're talking about the presentation because they don't do Soaring Over California except during special times.
No, I'm just saying.
You're talking about the
California,
location. Okay, yeah.
It's Soarin' over California at Disneyland or California Adventure, and then at Disney World, it's Soarin' over the world
Well, no, in California, it's Soaring Over the World now.
for a short period of time.
Oh,
I don't
is that
think that's
right?
a permanent thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they changed it, but I think it's just maybe it is.
pretty sure Soaring Over California is retired.
Fact checked us, people. Give us
Maybe
give us
I
some
don't
feedback.
know.
Here we go.
Forget about that part though. That part's irrelevant to this. Although
Discussion.
I prefer California the movie, but
Yes, yeah.
But I think the attraction's better. It makes more sense in California. You're actually going into an airplane hangar. Like the queue, it all makes a lot more sense. When you go in the land pavilion to do it there, first you're smelling everyone's terrible food from one of the worst quick services in all of the parks. No, it's better than Pecos Bill.
It is better than
Pecos Bill.
But anyways, it just doesn't make any sense. What are you supposed to be? Are you walking through an airport?
Yeah, you're
There's
just just going into some building,
and then you keep
world.
going underground somehow, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, wow, how deep are we at this point?
Yeah, Soaring Over the World replaced Soaring Over California in 2016.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
is.
think it's because they re-released it that it's like in my head that's how it should be.
It's the better version.
Well,
Yeah.
they had just done it for like the last year on a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Soaring Over
It's definitely the
California,
better
and they did
version.
it in both parks.
yeah. That's what it is. I apologize.
No, it's still a good comparison because I think Soaring Over California is the better version of the two.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's be honest, both of those movies they're dated and need an upgrade, right?
yeah.
Like, you end up in places that don't look anything like the places they filmed it at anymore. So
Yeah.
moving
All right,
on.
so we're good. Land on all.
Land
three
on
of
all.
us?
Disneyland
Yeah.
wins.
Yep. All right. A couple more. What about Autopia
Oh yeah,
versus? Now it's not
Tomorrowland Speedway.
Tomorrowland Speedway. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan?
I have not done Autopia at
What?
Disneyland
Okay,
because.
I'm going Disneyland right off the.
So what? Okay, so explain to me what the difference. Oh, he's wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
Going
So,
nowhere fast.
I got my Autopia t-shirt on.
Here's the cool thing. At Disneyland, you can actually get a little Autopia driver's license.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
You can do that at
one.
Disney. Well, you used to be able to do that.
You
at
used
Disney
to be
World.
able to do it at Disney World. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to Google how fast Autopia is.
I think the cars are the same crappy cars that go
Yeah,
the
they
same
are.
nonsense speed, but the track in California is far superior. You have hills, you have other things. There's that dumb robot looking guy. I took a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
While I just would stop my car and take a selfie in the middle of the track. I didn't care, right? Because it's not any worse than the 2-year-old that can't reach the pedals that's driving. I think the track is just a lot better. It's more scenic, and weather I think actually plays a factor into this ride. Remember, you are completely outdoors, uncovered while you're experiencing that traction the entire time in both parks. So therefore, California weather helps win the day for that ride.
I'll
over
concede
Florida
that.
weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they gotta up the speed of these cars.
They really do.
We're talking Disneyland between 6 and 7 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That, you can walk
that was like 20 years ago. They don't go that fast anymore.
They've slowed down even since then.
Now maybe when they upgrade to the electric, they'll add a couple.
They're so behind schedule on that. I mean, there's rumors. I've never heard anything
I don't think it's a
confirmed.
priority.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, Honda needs to get it together. They're the ones that sponsor it,
Yeah.
at least in California. I don't know if they sponsor it in Florida. I don't think they do, but they do sponsor it in California. They really ought to get it together there. Look, GM has it together. Test Track 3.0 is on its way. They've closed it down. It's ready to go, right? Like they announced it, and GM's like, we're going to do it. So Honda, get your robot with that annoying voice and get your electric cars on the road.
For real. All right, a couple more. Let's do 2 more. So this is a new edition. I'm curious to see if you guys got to do it. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway
Railway.
Yep.
Railway.
Not
I kept calling it Railroad on the way over here, and Ryan's like, you can't say it wrong.
It's the Runamuck Railroad.
Runamuck Railroad.
Yep, Runamuck
All right,
Railroad.
so
There's a difference between the two?
from a ride perspective, I would say, probably not.
No, the ride, no. But the queue, listen. I always felt like it was kind of cool to be in the Chinese theater in Hollywood Studios going through that because you're just like, oh, we're kind of in this building. The queue needs some refurbishment already. The carpet's a mess. It's terrible. It kind of smells bad in there and everything like that. But the queue for like Toy Story Mania in Hollywood Studios and how cool that is, and you get to see all these things and the characters come out and stuff like that. That's what like the queue is like for Mickey and Minnie in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And there is some really, really cool things to look at in there. I took some pictures that we'll post up on Instagram, but I thought it was just more enjoyable going through that. Now, I will say this: we went late at night when there really wasn't much of a wait at all. I don't know how I would feel if I had to wait a long time, other than the fact that it looks like no matter what, you're going to wait in line mostly indoors in California, whereas in Florida, you'll wait outside most of the time, which is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Dack.
Yeah, well, I would just say real quickly, I couldn't agree with you more. That outside queue, until you get in the Chinese theater at Disney World, to me, that is the most brutal queue. Like if we did an episode, most horrible queues, that it would have to be number 1.
Yeah,
like it's just you are just baking.
It's up there. It's up
and
there.
they put
I think to tell you the
almost
truth, I think
laughable little umbrella every 100 yards.
And I would say maybe if I ranked one worst, it would be Slinky Dog, right?
Yeah.
That queue is pretty terrible too, but it's the same issue.
Yeah, you're just cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The Disneyland queue, I had to think about it. Yeah, we did do it our last trip there, and it is really charming. It is really cute. I still hold Disney World's version in protest because they got rid of the Great Movie Ride. So whenever
you're saying you're against Disney World,
yeah, because
gotcha.
I see the Chinese theater and I'm like I want to walk in and see the Great Movie Ride. I don't want to see Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I want to see the Great Movie Ride come back. So
it's not going to.
I know you're never going to win me over. I think the ride it's fine. Is it better than what they had there before? No. So I would say the Disneyland version is better.
There you go.
That song will be stuck in my head all night now too.
All right, last one. Haunted Mansion. Ooh. So there's other rides. Let me before we get into Haunted Mansion, there are some other rides I thought were negligible on the differences. So I just called these our push category. So it's Dumbo, Little Mermaid, the
Dumbo,
Carousel.
Disney World.
Yeah.
Little Mermaid, Disney World.
Yeah.
Carousel, Disney World.
Millennium Falcon and Rise. I mean,
those are identical.
Identical. Peter Pan's Flight.
Peter Pan Disneyland.
Yeah. Toy Story, Midway Mania.
Hold up, you're pretty quick there to choose Disneyland Peter Pan.
Yeah, the actual ride itself
it's a little better.
It's
How is it different?
Better.
Yeah.
They've updated some of the interior. There's a little bit better on the coloring and the lighting, and there's some projection mapping on some of the characters and stuff. And the queue doesn't it's not as brutal.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Toy Story Mania, that was a push.
I didn't do that one.
I think it's a push.
And then the Tiki Room.
Tiki Room Disneyland.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know. I don't care. I don't like.
All right.
Hey, you forgot one though. The railroad.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. The railroad, the actual railroad.
Yeah.
Not Mickey Minnie's.
Give me Disneyland.
I think.
Give me Disneyland.
I think I go Disneyland because it actually serves as a legitimate transportation.
Yeah. And I think the scenes
are fun.
Scenes are better too. Yeah.
You could almost throw in the monorail there too, as
the monorail Disney World without a doubt.
Without a doubt,
it's an actual
Disneyland. It goes nowhere now, right? So,
yeah,
too bad.
Exactly. All right, let's get back to Haunted Mansion. So Haunted Mansion, I think both are excellent attractions at each location. So I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on.
Tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. What you got, Randy?
Well, I think the thing about it is this. Disneyland has one huge edge over Disney World, and that's the fact that they bring the Nightmare Before Christmas in. Now, my personal opinion is I think that goes on maybe a little too long. It's almost half the year, basically, right? Or at least a third of it.
Well, now it is. It starts in August.
Yeah, so it's like half the year, and then it goes pretty much to like January, right?
Yeah. So the breaking news is that Haunted Mansion is actually in Disneyland, is going to be open for the Halloween season. Oh, that was huge news.
Oh, they weren't expecting that.
Yeah, no. So the queue is going to be a virtual queue, and I think the reason why they're doing that
makes sense
is because they only want each person to go on at one time, right?
I'll fact check you on that one.
On the virtual queue?
Yeah. So it is going to be virtual queue, but I read that it's because the actual queue is not.
Well, yeah, the actual queue
ready.
is down.
It's down. They won't have it ready.
So that's probably a factor as well. It's like there's just nowhere to put you, so we're just going to virtual.
There wasn't anywhere to put you in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean that would probably be my complaint about both parks. Right, is that the line. I don't understand for a continuous loading attraction. What the crap are we waiting for? Like, come on, let's go.
The stretching room.
It's not all that. Even you get past the stretching room and you get in there, and all of a sudden we're all jammed together. You're like, what's going on, guys? Yeah. So I think that's the big advantage that it has, but it also serves a little bit as a disadvantage, I think, because you do miss out on the actual attraction for about half the year in Disneyland. I'm a little partial to, I think, the look of the mansion at Disneyland. Mm-hmm. Makes a ton of sense being there, right off Norland Square.
Yep.
It's a clear, we're so close to Louisiana where we live here. We've seen places like this so many times in all of our visits out there. Like I get it and I can picture it, and it makes a lot of sense that way. Having said that, I think if you really want to talk about the Haunted Mansion and like a fear factor or a scariness, I think Disney World wins the edge there. That's a place that at nighttime, especially you're going up there, like, when you're a little kid, that could be a pretty scary endeavor.
Absolutely. And you have the ghost that walks the halls upstairs of the Disney World version. If you know what to look for, it's up there. You can see it every 5 to 7 minutes.
Yep.
Passing one of the windows. I would agree, Randy. I think the one at Disney World does have the fear factor element to it. It's a little darker. It's right there on the river, which I think is fun. Disneyland, though, what they do at Halloween time is really cool. Mm-hmm. I love the music. What's it called? The Hatbox
Ghost?
Hatbox Ghost music. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's what I was.
It's a really cool melody. Yeah. Really cool melody.
That little, it almost sounds like it's on a little music box, and it's just a slow little chime. Really cool.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it. I was going to give the edge to Disneyland, but now that they've added the Hatbox Ghost over to Disney World, it's kind of leveling the playing field a little bit.
A little bit.
Well, they have them at both.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it wasn't always at Disney World. Now it is. So I think that makes it a harder choice for me. Since you two are going World, I'll go Land just because.
I could split it.
It's almost a push for me.
Yeah.
I will say I think the Disneyland version of the Hatbox Ghost, I think it's placed in a better spot. Whereas the Disney World version comes up, so you're passing the Madame Leota scene, and it's right past that. Kind of catches you off guard.
Yeah.
Disney World is before Madame Leota. It is in the hallway, right outside the hallway with the floating candlestick.
No, you're thinking Disneyland's version. I've got photographic evidence.
I do too.
So I think Randy's right on this one. I think it's nope. Now I'm getting confused.
Pull up my pictures.
Have we ever been this fact checked?
We are fact checking each other big time.
So I'll kind of fill the dead air here. I think, man, I really enjoy the Disneyland version at Christmas time and Halloween time with the Jack Skellington. Just having that gingerbread house in there and all of the different decorations and decor that they bring in for the Jack Skellington stuff.
Here he is.
He's right in front of the
right down the hallway with the floating candlestick and the suit of armor.
That's not Disneyland?
This is Disney World,
that's
Magic Kingdom Park.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got him. So I've got video 2,
and then
of the same
land.
Okay,
he's in the attic.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
What? He's in the attic.
Yes. Yeah. Right before you come down into that scene right there.
He's right past Madame Leota.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you had it backwards.
Yeah, I had it backwards.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good.
It's all good. I got fact checked. All right.
That's right. I got fact checked on the Soarin' Over California. We're good. We corrected everything.
Snopes is on it.
All right. So there you go. So Ryan and I were talking about this on the way over. An interesting magical scenario.
Hey, hold up real fast.
Here we go.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
I don't know if it got that, but we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Listeners will be like, why'd they get so quiet?
Yeah.
What are they laughing about?
Yeah.
What's happening?
See if we can amplify that in the editing process.
There you go.
All right.
All
Sorry,
right, so
Dack.
magical scenario. Here's the deal. So go back in your memory bank. We didn't really keep track of all of this stuff, but if you could take one version that you chose. So we have to preset this up. So overall, if you had a choice, Randy, quick decision, you going to world or land?
World.
Okay, perfect. And Ryan, you said
Give me world.
and I'll go land. So now that we have our destinations, if you could choose one of the other parks' versions of the attractions, right? Which would you transfer over to your home park, quote unquote home park of where
Pirates.
you're going? Okay.
Yeah, he was quick on that one.
Yeah, you were quick on the draw. Just Pirates and that's it. You're no explanation. This is unlike you.
I already explained it. I mean,
I think not to be redundant. I think I would choose the same thing because I think there's such a difference between the two pirates.
Yeah.
That it just makes sense if you're going to bring one over to the other park.
well, and here's the thing: it's a little bit of a package deal, right? You know, you're bringing the Blue Bayou with it, right? Like that's part of it, and so by extension, you're bringing a little bit of New Orleans Square with it. You can't just. This is one where you can't just copy and paste the ride. You got to have these other elements that go with it. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I would do if I'm bringing anything over. I think the easy one would have been to say Space Mountain, but I'll tell you this much: we didn't really cover it. The Space Mountain building in Kew in Florida is far superior to what you get in California.
No, that's true.
Right? That little platform deck thing that you're walking on or whatever, and then you get inside, it's just so boring. You feel, in my opinion, you feel much more like you're actually about to go up to a space station. Right?
Yeah.
And so that one makes a lot more sense to me. I think the ride's okay. Pirates all the way. What are you going to bring?
Man, I'm looking through my list and I didn't choose a lot of worlds. Maybe that's why.
Oh, big surprise.
Yeah, maybe that's why I choose land all the time.
Such a homer.
God, yeah.
Well, while you're thinking, you know what? I agree. I think I still would do Pirates, but from a pure aesthetic point of view, bringing over It's a Small World and putting that into Disney World would be kind of fun.
That's a really, really good consideration.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. I still probably wouldn't do the ride.
It doesn't work in Florida, but it would be.
Yeah.
It would look cool.
Yeah, it would look cool. You'd have to modify that outdoor part.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one we didn't discuss, but we should have. That's the Finding Nemo. So Finding Nemo over at Disneyland, you got the submarine thing. Finding Nemo over in Disney World, you got the seas, and you come out into that aquarium. That's what I would move over. We didn't really discuss it during the show, but I just think it's so cool when you're like, I remember the first time I did the Finding Nemo ride at Disney World, and you're going through and it's the actual aquarium that you're seeing. It's at the end of the ride.
Yeah.
But they still have somehow the Finding Nemo characters.
Yeah, he's floating.
Swimming around.
He's floating in the actual water.
In the actual water, and you're just like,
pretty cool.
whoa, wait a minute. How's this happening? So I love that. And then just that you can exit into that aquarium and go exploring. If you could somehow find a place for that over at Disneyland, that'd be awesome.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
So you're saying bring the Disney World version over to Disneyland?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of Finding Nemo.
I'm very anti.
But you would replace 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with that?
Get rid of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not going to find me in a still tube with the closed door. Not with my claustrophobia.
It doesn't even go underwater.
Yeah.
It's still a steel tube with the closed door. Yeah.
You're a steel tube.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, man. Hey, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I like it. So great show. Give us a like and a follow on all of our social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what your thoughts are. What's your favorites? What are some of your favorite attractions at Land or World?
What would you bring over if, play your own magical scenario? Is there one that you think you'd rather bring to the other park?
Yeah. And
we really didn't compare castles.
Oh, that's a beatdown.
There's no comparison.
Yeah.
There is a comparison, and here's why.
Well, okay. I
Here's
think I know where you're going to go.
It's an actual attraction.
Yeah, you're right.
In
You're right.
California,
True.
right?
If you're speaking from a pure attraction point of view,
yeah.
then you have to give it to Disneyland because there's something to do there.
Well, I mean, you can do something in
it's
Florida.
fun.
You can look at the mural, as
You're
walk
walking through.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the story of Sleeping Beauty, as it's played out there, is done really well. In fact, I'll say this much: they've upgraded it since the last time I saw it.
They put in air conditioning.
No, and it still smells terrible. But they upgraded some of the effects, right? As you're looking at the story. I mean, when Maleficent transforms into the dragon and breathes the fire, like I was
awesome.
whoa, snap.
Yeah.
The transformation part, that was cool. I didn't remember that. I'm sure it's been that way for a little bit now, but it definitely wasn't like that when I was growing up as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's pretty awesome on the inside.
All right. Well, hey, if you like the episode, if you like the podcast, click follow, click subscribe, even though you're not paying money for it, so that every Wednesday a new episode will drop automatically to your phone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.